What if I told you the same foods that clog your arteries and shrink your brain are also killing your erections? Researchers at UCLA discovered that men who ate the most processed foods had blood vessels that looked 15 years older than their actual age. And here's the shocking part. The very first place those weak blood vessels showed up wasn't in the heart. It wasn't even in the brain. It was in the bedroom. Think about it. An erection is nothing more than a pressure test of your arteries. If your blood can't flow freely, performance fails, sometimes years before bigger health problems show up. Doctors call it the check engine light for your body. Ignore it, and it often means serious trouble ahead. Now, here's where it gets even more alarming. A massive European study following 1 to 900 men found that those with ED were 70% more likely to develop heart disease within just 5 years. 70%. That means what you're experiencing down there may actually be an early warning sign of something much bigger. But here's the good news. The foods that wreck your blood flow are predictable and avoidable. In this video, we're breaking down the 10 worst foods that silently sabotage your performance. And make sure you stick with me, because the #1 worst offender is hiding in almost every fridge in America. And once you see what it does inside your body, you'll never look at it the same way again. Number 10. Coca-Cola and Pepsi. These aren't just soft drinks. They're liquid erection killers. Here's what the research shows. A single 20-ounce bottle of Coke has 65 grams of sugar. That's the equivalent of 16 teaspoons. When men consume this level of sugar, studies show their testosterone levels can drop by as much as 25% within just 2 hours. That's one soda causing an immediate hormone crash. It gets worse. Researchers at the Journal of the American Heart Association found that people who drank just 1 can of soda per day had a 26% higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. And diabetes is one of the strongest predictors of erectile dysfunction. Men with it are 3 times more likely to experience ED. Another study out of Copenhagen University revealed that men who drank sugary sodas daily had 30% lower sperm counts compared to men who didn't. That means it's not just performance that suffers, it's fertility too. Here's the real-world scenario. You crack open a Coke at lunch, maybe another with dinner, and expect to perform at night. But your blood vessels are still inflamed, and your testosterone is tanked from all that sugar. You're basically trying to drive with the brakes on. The fix is simple but powerful. Swap sodas for sparkling water with lemon, unsweetened iced tea, or even plain water. In fact, studies show that men who cut out sugary drinks improved vascular function within just 3 weeks. One small change, massive impact. Number 9, McDonald's French fries. They might be the world's most popular side dish, but they're also one of the worst things you can eat for your erections. Here's why. When vegetable oils are heated to frying temperatures, they form toxic compounds called aldehydes. Research out of De Montfort University in the UK found that aldehydes created during frying are up to 200 times more toxic than cigarette smoke. These compounds inflame your arteries, stiffen your blood vessels, and block nitric oxide, the exact molecule you need to get and keep an erection. And the damage is measurable. A large study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed more than 15,000 people and found that those who ate fried foods 4 or more times per week had a 37% higher risk of diabetes and a 25% higher risk of heart disease. Since ED is often the first warning sign of heart trouble, that daily fry habit could be quietly wrecking your performance long before your doctor ever mentions cholesterol. Let's put it in perspective. A medium order of McDonald's fries has about 320 calories and 17 grams of fat, most of it coming from heavily processed oils. By the time you finish that red carton, your blood vessels are already less flexible for hours. The fix? If you want that crunch, go for air-fried or oven-baked potatoes at home. Studies show that swapping fried foods for baked or grilled versions can cut cardiovascular risk by nearly 20% in just a few months. That's not just good news for your heart, it's good news for your performance too. Number 8, bacon. It's a breakfast favorite, but it's also one of the most dangerous foods for your erections. Here's the science. Bacon is loaded with sodium, nitrates, and saturated fat, all of which damage blood vessels. A study from Harvard involving 51,000 men found that those who ate the most processed meats like bacon and sausage had a 22% higher risk of developing erectile dysfunction. Another study published in Circulation reported that men who consumed processed meats regularly were 42% more likely to develop heart disease. And it's not just your arteries that take the hit. High-sodium foods like bacon raise blood pressure, which literally squeezes your arteries shut. Research in the Journal of Urology showed that men with hypertension are twice as likely to develop ED compared to those with normal blood pressure. In other words, that crispy strip of bacon is raising more than just your cholesterol. It's raising your risk of failure in the bedroom. Let's put it into real-world numbers. Just 3 slices of bacon contain about 1,200 milligrams of sodium. That's half the recommended daily limit, eaten before you've even had lunch. Pair that with the nitrates and saturated fat, and you've got the perfect recipe for clogged arteries and weak blood flow. The swap? Instead of processed bacon, go for lean proteins like turkey slices, grilled chicken, or even avocado on your breakfast plate. Studies show that replacing just 1 serving of processed meat a day with a lean protein source reduces cardiovascular risk by 17%. That swap alone could mean better circulation and better performance. Number 7. Donuts. They may melt in your mouth, but they're also melting away your testosterone and blood flow. Here's the research. A single glazed donut packs around 200 calories, 12 grams of sugar, and 11 grams of fat, much of it trans fat and refined oil. That combo is a blood vessel disaster. A study in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism showed that men who consumed high-sugar, high-fat foods had an immediate 25% drop in testosterone levels within 2 hours. That means 1 donut with your morning coffee can throw off your hormones for the entire day. But the damage doesn't stop with hormones. Trans fats found in donuts are linked to arterial plaque and inflammation. In fact, research from Harvard School of Public Health found that men who ate the most trans fats had a 40% higher risk of heart disease. Since ED is so tightly connected to heart health, every bite of that donut is another strike against your circulation. Here's the real-world picture. You grab a donuts on your way to work, maybe 2 if the box is sitting in the office. Fast forward to the evening, and you're wondering why your drive and stamina feel flat. That sugar and fat bomb has already sabotaged your blood vessels and hormones. The fix? Trade pastries for fiber-rich breakfasts like oatmeal with fruit or Greek yogurt with berries. In one study, men who swapped refined carbs for whole grains improved insulin sensitivity by 23%. And with better insulin function comes better testosterone and stronger erections. Number 6. Red Bull and Monster. They promise to give you wings, but what they're really giving you is artery stiffness and hormone crashes. Let's break it down. 1 standard can of Red Bull has 27 grams of sugar and about 80 milligrams of caffeine. A Monster energy drink can have up to 54 grams of sugar and 160 milligrams of caffeine, nearly the same as 2 cups of coffee plus a sugar overload. A study in the Journal of the American Heart Association found that just 1 energy drink caused a 25% increase in arterial stiffness within 90 minutes. Translation: your blood vessels literally get tighter, making it harder for blood to flow where you need it. And the sugar hit makes things worse. Researchers at Copenhagen University showed that men who consumed high-sugar drinks daily had significantly lower sperm counts and hormone levels. Another study published in Reproductive Toxicology linked daily energy drink use to reduce testosterone production, especially in men over 40. Here's the real-life scenario. You slam a Monster to get through the afternoon slump. By bedtime, your nervous system is still wired. Your sleep quality tanks, and research shows poor sleep can cut testosterone by up to 15% overnight. That means the drink that perked you up earlier is also setting you up for failure later. The fix? Skip the canned energy bombs. If you need a boost, switch to black coffee in the morning and green tea in the afternoon. Studies show moderate coffee drinkers actually have a 16% lower risk of ED compared to non-coffee drinkers. You'll get the alertness without the artery damage. Number 5. Hot dogs. A summer ballpark favorite, but one of the worst foods you can eat for your arteries and your erections. Here's the science. Hot dogs are processed meats, and they're loaded with sodium, saturated fat, and nitrites. A study from Harvard involving more than 37,000 men found that those who ate processed meats like hot dogs and deli meats had a 22% higher risk of erectile dysfunction compared to men who ate little or none. The cardiovascular impact is just as bad. Research published in Circulation reported that regular consumption of processed meats was linked to a 42% higher risk of heart disease. Since ED is often the earliest sign of vascular trouble, every hot dog you eat is another step toward weaker performance. And the sodium content is off the charts. A single hot dog can contain 500 to 700 milligrams of sodium. Add the bun, condiments, and maybe 2 or 3 dogs at a barbecue, and you're easily past the daily sodium limit. High sodium raises blood pressure, and men with hypertension are twice as likely to suffer from ED. Here's the real-life picture. You load up on hot dogs at a cookout, and your body spends the rest of the night dealing with inflamed arteries, stiff blood vessels, and elevated blood pressure. By the time the evening rolls around, your performance has already been sabotaged. The fix? Ditch the processed dogs. Swap them for lean grilled meats like chicken skewers or turkey sausages. Studies show that replacing processed meats with lean proteins can lower cardiovascular risk by nearly 20%, which means better circulation and better erections. Number 4. Fried chicken, especially the kind you get from KFC or Popeyes. Crunchy on the outside, juicy inside, but inside your body, it's wrecking your blood flow. Here's why. Fried chicken is usually cooked in cheap vegetable oils that break down into trans fats and aldehydes when heated. A study in the journal Atherosclerosis found that men who consumed the highest levels of trans fats had a 40% higher risk of cardiovascular disease. And as we know, ED and heart disease share the same root problem: damaged blood vessels. The numbers get worse when you look at frequency. A large-scale study of 106,000 women and men published in the BMJ found that eating fried food 4 or more times a week was associated with a 37% higher risk of type 2 diabetes and a 27% higher risk of heart disease. Those same risks translate directly into performance problems in the bedroom. Now picture the real-world scenario. You grab a 2-piece combo with biscuits and sides. A single KFC fried chicken breast contains 19 grams of fat and 1,100 milligrams of sodium. That's almost half your daily sodium intake in one piece of chicken. By the time you've polished off the meal, your arteries are inflamed, your blood pressure is spiking, and your circulation is shot for hours. The swap? Go for grilled chicken or even air-fried chicken at home. In fact, studies show that switching from fried to baked or grilled poultry can cut cardiovascular risk by up to 20% in just a few months. That's a swap that pays off in both health and performance. Number 3. Pizza, especially the kind loaded with pepperoni and sausage. It might be America's favorite Friday night food, but it's also a perfect storm for erectile dysfunction. Here's why. A single slice of pepperoni pizza can pack 300 calories, 12 grams of fat, and over 700 milligrams of sodium. Most guys don't stop at one slice, 2 or 3, and you've hit your entire daily sodium target before the night is over. High sodium equals high blood pressure, and studies show men with hypertension are twice as likely to struggle with ED. The toppings make it worse. Processed meats like pepperoni and sausage are packed with nitrates and saturated fat. Harvard research found that men who ate the most processed meat had a 22% higher risk of erectile dysfunction and were significantly more likely to develop heart disease. Combine that with the refined white crust, which spikes blood sugar and insulin, and you've got a triple threat: poor circulation, lower testosterone, and inflamed arteries. Let's talk real world. A Friday pizza night sounds harmless, but by bedtime, your body is dealing with stiffened arteries and blood sugar swings. No wonder your energy, drive, and stamina feel flat. The fix? If you love pizza, switch it up. Choose a thin whole wheat crust, go light on cheese, and top it with vegetables or grilled chicken instead of processed meats. Studies show that replacing refined carbs with whole grains improves insulin sensitivity by 23%, which helps stabilize testosterone and keep blood flowing where you need it. Number 2, white bread, especially the ultra-processed kind like Wonder Bread. It may seem harmless, but it's one of the quietest erection killers on your plate. Here's the science. White bread is made from refined flour that's been stripped of nearly all fiber and nutrients. That means when you eat it, your blood sugar spikes almost instantly. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that diets high in refined grains were linked to a 30% higher risk of metabolic syndrome, a condition that nearly doubles your odds of erectile dysfunction. And it doesn't just affect blood sugar. Researchers at the University of Cambridge discovered that men with high refined carbohydrate intake had lower testosterone levels by up to 10 to 15% compared to those who ate more whole grains. Lower testosterone means lower drive, weaker erections, and reduced muscle strength over time. Think about it. 2 slices of Wonder Bread have about 26 grams of carbs that hit your bloodstream like pure sugar. Add a sandwich with processed meat and mayo, and you've basically built a recipe for artery damage, blood sugar spikes, and a hormone crash. The fix? Swap white bread for 100% whole grain or sprouted bread. Studies show that men who replaced refined grains with whole grains improved insulin sensitivity by 23% and reduced their risk of cardiovascular disease by up to 20%. That means steadier testosterone, better blood flow, and stronger performance. Number 1. Ice cream. It's cold, sweet, and comforting. But when it comes to your erections, it's one of the biggest offenders. Here's why. Ice cream is the triple threat: sugar, saturated fat, and dairy. A single pint of Ben & Jerry's has about 1,200 calories, 120 grams of sugar, and 70 grams of fat. That's more sugar than 5 cans of Coke. And studies show that sugar spikes can suppress testosterone by up to 25% for several hours. The dairy fat doesn't help either. Research in the Journal of Nutrition found that men with the highest intake of full-fat dairy had a 33% higher risk of poor sperm quality. Combine that with the vascular inflammation caused by sugar, and you're looking at both performance and fertility being hit at the same time. And the cardiovascular connection is clear. High saturated fat diets are linked to stiffer arteries and reduced nitric oxide, the molecule that lets your blood vessels expand during arousal. In fact, a study in the Journal of Sexual Medicine showed that men who ate diets high in sugar and fat were significantly more likely to report ED symptoms, even if they were otherwise healthy. Here's the real-world scenario. You treat yourself to a few scoops at night, thinking it's harmless. But by bedtime, your blood sugar is crashing, your arteries are inflamed, and your hormones are suppressed. It's the perfect setup for disappointment in the bedroom. The fix? If you crave something sweet and cold, go for frozen berries, dark chocolate, or even Greek yogurt with fruit. Studies show that men who eat flavonoid-rich foods like berries and dark chocolate have a 21% lower risk of ED. That means you can satisfy your sweet tooth and still keep your blood flow strong. So there you have it. The 10 worst foods for your erections, ranked from bad to absolute worst. From sodas to pizza to ice cream, these aren't just guilty pleasures. They're silent killers of your blood flow, testosterone, and overall performance. But here's the good news. Research shows that even small changes add up. Cutting back on these foods and swapping in healthier options can improve circulation and hormone balance in as little as 3 weeks. That means more energy, better stamina, and stronger confidence in the bedroom. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button so more men can see it, and subscribe for more science-backed health tips. And let me know in the comments, which of these 10 foods do you think will be the hardest to give up? I'd love to hear your answer.